So, I have a pretty extensive physical TBR going on, and I will be getting a bookshelf tour out for you as soon as possible. If you have a preferred format for that, like do you want me to show you every single book on my shelves, or do you want me to just show you my shelves, how they look, and talk you through each of the books? On there I'll put a poll up high for you. Let me know what you prefer, or if the option isn't there, just let me know in the comments, because I want to show you my books in a way that you're going to find interesting. But today we're talking about the top 10 books on my TBR that I want to get to. And the reason I picked 10 is because I liked the sound of top 10 TBR. It's no more deep than that, let's be honest. Let's get into it. First up, The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This is epic fantasy, I believe, and the main reason I want to read this is because Murphy from the channel Murphy Napier has been raving about this series for ages. I picked it up a while ago, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, and I really want to. I think it's quite Oliver Twist-esque in that it follows a protagonist who is a thief in a band of thieves, and he's also a swordsmith, I believe, and also it's meant to have a really fantastic friendship. And I love reading about good friendships, and the relationship between Locke and Jean is meant to be really fantastic, and I love that kind of thing in books, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. Next up is Solitaire by Alice Oseman, which was actually her debut novel. I'm not sure when it came out actually, let's have a little look. Came out in 2014, so it's 5 years old, and I have read Radio Silence, which I absolutely loved, and I have read Heartstopper volumes 1 and 2, as well as the rest that's out and available on the Tapas app, and love those. And this is the origin story for the couple that is in the Heartstopper comic. So Nick and Charlie are the couple in the Heartstopper world, and Charlie is the brother of the protagonist in this one called Tori. So although I'll be somewhat spoiled because I've already read the Heartstopper comics, I really want to see the source material, so that's why this is on this list. It is contemporary, and honestly I don't really know what it's about because the blurb is really vague, so I'll read it to you. It says, "I don't ever remember not being serious. As far as I'm concerned, I came out of the womb spouting cynicism and wishing for rain. My name is Tori Spring. I like to sleep and I like to blog. Last year I had friends. Things were very different, I guess, but that's all over now. Now there's Solitaire and Michael Holden. I don't know what Solitaire are trying to do, and I don't care about Michael Holden. I really don't." So I have no idea what this is about. The main reason it's on this list is because I want to read it, because I enjoy Heartstopper so much. That's it. I also really loved Radio Silence, so I think that Alice Oseman's writing really suits my reading taste, especially because I don't read a lot of contemporary. I really enjoy reading contemporary by authors that I know I like. Next up is another fantasy. We have Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian, and this one I am keen to read because Elle from the channel Elliot Brooks really enjoyed this book. I think she's also read the sequel, which I don't know what it's called. Lady Smoke is what the sequel is called, and she said she really enjoyed them. They're light, fluffy fantasy, which are also very trope heavy, but I have extremely similar reading tastes to Elle, so if she liked it, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like it too, especially because it does sound like the kind of thing that I'll be interested in. It essentially follows a protagonist who is a princess and was heir to the throne, but after her mother was murdered, her mother's murderer takes over and she has to deal with that situation. So you can tell from that description it's very, very fantasy tropey, but there's a reason I love fantasy, and it's because I love most fantasy tropes, so that's not a problem for me, and I'm looking forward to reading this. Next, something a little bit more dark. Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, which is adult high fantasy, I think. I don't think it's epic fantasy. And really, all I know about it is that it's about badass fighting nuns, which you would think I would need to know more than that for it to make it onto this list, but no, not really. I like the sound of that. I think it's an assassin trope, which, I mean, I like assassins in books, okay? What do you want from me? Next, An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. This is on this list because G from the channel Book Roast read it recently and really, really loved it, and I really trust her opinion. So if she says it's good, I'm interested in reading it. It's actually been on my radar to read for quite a while, and since I managed to pick up a copy at Yelp for a very good price, it's on this list for that reason. The other reason it's on this list is because it's Asian inspired fantasy, and I really love reading non-European inspired fantasy because there's a lot of that, and I've read a lot of that, and I do love it, don't get me wrong, but there's just something special about reading fantasy inspired by different cultures, partly because it's just great to have that diversity, but for me, even on top of that, it's great because I get to learn so much about different cultures and their mythologies, and it's just, it adds a whole other level of fantasticalness to the fantasy. You know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean and I'm not just babbling like an insane person. Next up, Dry by Neil Shusterman and Jared Shusterman, which is his son, I believe. And this one is about, it's a dystopian novel. I think that Neil Shusterman only writes dystopian novels. I could be wrong. I've read Scythe and Thunderhead, which are dystopian, and I want to say that his other series is called Unwind. Is that right? I don't know. I think that that's dystopian as well, but this one certainly is. This is about a future of the human race where the water has run out and people are trying to deal with that pretty crappy situation. And like with Scythe, this is going to hit a nerve because it's so possible, and I really enjoy Neil Shusterman's writing style. I haven't, other than Scythe and Thunderhead, I haven't really read any dystopian books since the Hunger Games, and all the books around that time were out, and I really, look, I like dystopian, but I don't like dystopian. I love it while I'm in it, but the endings usually just rip me apart, so I have a mixed relationship with them, but clearly I want to torture myself, and this is the book to do it with. Then we have Sea Witch by Sarah Henning, which, if I'm understanding the synopsis correctly, is an Ursula origin story, and I love origin stories, so I'm super excited to pick this one up. I don't read a lot of mermaid siren fantasy, but I did read To Kill a Kingdom last year by Alexandra Christo, which was a Little Mermaid retelling, but more on like a dark side, and it was sirens rather than mermaids, and I enjoyed that. And like I said, I just really enjoy origin stories, so I'm really interested to see what's going to happen in this one and why is Ursula bad. Then we have another contemporary, Frankly in Love by David Yoon, which this is a proof copy, and the book is out on the 12th of September. So ideally I'd like to get to this one quite soon because I would like to read it and perhaps film a review for it before its release. So if you'd be interested in that, let me know. I'd probably just do it anyway, but let me know either way. This is a Korean inspired contemporary book about a boy named Frank Lee. Frankly in Love. I make that joke every time and it doesn't get any better, but moving on. Frank wants to date a white girl, but his parents want him to marry a Korean girl. So when he meets another Korean girl who also wants to date whoever she wants to date and not marry a Korean man just because that's what her parents want, they decide to fake date each other so that they can real date other people and still please their parents. And it's a fake dating trope, and I haven't read any fake dating tropes, I don't think, but I've seen films with it in and really enjoyed it, so I'm hoping that this is going to be cute and fun. Then we have Obsidian by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, which is the final book in the Illuminae files. I've read, of course, Illuminae and Gemina and really enjoyed both of them, and I am intrigued to find out what's going to happen in this final instalment. I can't tell you what this book is about because spoilers. Illuminae follows Katie and Ezra, who are a couple that have just broken up when their planet is attacked by terrorists and they have to be rescued, and they're rescued and they're on ships running away from these terrorists, and things on board start to go wrong. And I always say that this series feels like one of those disaster films, but on paper, and also it's told in a mixed media format, so it's like text messages and log entries and that kind of thing, which makes it super fun to read as well. And I'm just so intrigued to find out how this series, this trilogy, is going to conclude. The only reason I haven't read it yet is because I'm buddy reading the trilogy with my sister and she hasn't finished Gemina yet. So Natalie, if you're watching, hurry up, I want to read this one. I'm joking. And finally, we have The Binding by Bridget Collins, and at least part of the reason this is on the list is because look how amazing this book looks. I mean, if that's not reason to read it, I don't know what is. But on top of that, the concept of the book sounds fascinating. This former farmer gets a job in a library, and this library stores books that hold memories for people that didn't want to keep those memories anymore. So once you put your memory in a book, you obviously can't remember it anymore. And our former farmer protagonist starts an apprenticeship, and then he finds a book with his name on it. I'm intrigued already and I haven't even started reading it yet. That sounds great. I'm so excited. I purposefully didn't mention any books that are due to come out for the rest of the year because I do have a few of those that I want to read as well. But that was my top 10 physical TBR. Are there any books on your shelves that you haven't read yet that you're super interested in reading and you can't wait to get to? I mean, this is just 10. I've got so many books on my shelves that I'm really excited to read, but these are the ones that I'm potentially prioritising, and I want to hear what you're prioritising. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.